Tweens are super useful. Basically, they take one value to a new value using some kind of pattern to get there. You'll mostly see them used with interactive UI, but they're also used during gameplay for things like squash and stretch and other kinds of animations. But let's talk about how to use them in GDevelop. So to begin with, in order for an object to use tween actions and conditions, you need to apply the tween behavior to it. This is in engine by default, and once you add the behavior, you don't need to do anything else with it. So now that I've added that to the character object, I can go to the event sheet and create an event with the condition if the E key is released. And then I can click to add an action and search for tween. And you'll see that there's a bunch of them here, ranging from positioning to opacity to scaling and so on. We're going to start with a scaling tween. So we select the player and then type in a tween identifier, which can be whatever we want it to be. And then we type in the scale, and I'm going to change this to 1.2 times the original scale of the object for both the X and Y axis. And then we choose the easing method. There's a ton of these, and you can play around with them to see which one you like the most, but I'm going to use bounce past for this one. And then you need to put in a duration, which is in milliseconds, so 1000 milliseconds is a single second. So I'm going to put in 500, so this tween, taking it from a scale of 1 to 1.2, will take half a second. And then you can toggle whether or not the object gets destroyed after the tween is finished. Usually this will be no. And then we're going to toggle this one to scale from the center. And now if I preview the game and press E, it will scale up to 1.2 times its original size. And if I press the key to try again, nothing's going to happen because it's already at 1.2 times its original size. So next we'll go back and use the wait action in combination with some tweens to bring it back to its original size, making the wait action wait for 0.5 seconds, so we wait for the original transition to finish until we start the next one. And I will paste down the original tween action and change the scale it goes to 1, back to its original size. And now I can use this to create a more effective landing. All I need to do is change the conditions and some variables and go back into the game. And now whenever I land on the ground, the character bounces a little bit. And this might be a little bit too much bounce, but you can adjust that in the action. Next, I'll show you how to use it in a different way. So I have this ghost object that I made that has two animations, one for chasing and one for waiting. So I'll put that into the scene, and here we have the events for it. If the character is not horizontally flipped, so they're looking away, the ghost moves towards the character, changes its opacity to 255, and sets the animation to chasing. But if the character is horizontally flipped, so they're looking at the ghost, change the opacity to 150 and the animation to waiting. And this is what that looks like. You'll see that when the ghost changes, it's instant. It goes from full opacity to 150 immediately. But we can fix that with a tween. First we need to give the ghost the tween behavior, and then we can add an object opacity tween to the ghost. And then we'll delete the old opacity event and paste up this action, changing its opacity to 255 again, and then deleting the other action. And now you can see that when the ghost switches, it fades in and out instead of snapping immediately. But now, let's get into something with more moving parts. So I have a coin box and a coin object, and I've given both of them the tween behavior. And I've given the character a new point on top to use in this event. So for this event, we're going to first check if that point is inside the collision mask of that coin box object, which has the platform behavior, so the character can't go through it, but that point can. And then check to make sure that the character is not on the floor, and that the tween scale up of the coin box is not playing. And for the actions, we start with a scale tween to bring the box up to 1.1 times its original size, and then a Y position tween that will move the box 5 pixels above its original position. And then we create the coin object at the X and Y coordinates of the box, and then change the Z order of the coin so it's one behind the box. And then we use another Y position object tween on the coin so that it will go up. And then finally for the coin, we use an opacity tween where we have it toggled to delete the coin after the tween is done. This part could just be done with particles, but you can do this with tweens as well. And then we play a sound effect that I created with JFXR, and wait for 0.1 seconds, which is how long the original box tweens last for. And then the last 2 tweens are used to bring the object back to its original size. And that event looks like this. Hopefully, this video helped you learn a little more about tweens. And if you want to continue learning, the intermediate tutorial list has a bunch of great videos in it, including things like camera controls and animations.